breaking news tonight that we wanted to respond to. Jimmy Kimmel, late night host on ABC, is being taken off the air for the foreseeable future. And I've seen a lot of people online being like, well, you know, he did it because he said something factually inaccurate and insensitive about, you're laughing, about Charlie Kirk's death.
In this case, the facts kind of don't matter. Like the facts, like we should get into about whether he was correct and whether
some
the joke
facts
was appropriate.
matter, but some here don't. Yes,
yeah, but like in this case, like what matters is the fact that, as you said, the federal government threatened and pressured private companies to silence someone's speech, and they did.
Folks on the left are saying this is about free speech. It's not about free speech. It's not like Donald Trump picked up the phone and called somebody and said, take this guy off the air. He doesn't have that kind of power in the United States. And I don't believe the stations would listen to it. I don't think that it is about free speech. I think many are going to try and say it is. He said consistently ridiculous things and peddled conspiracy theories on air, especially related to the Kirk assassination. But do you think for a moment that these left-wing legacy outlets are sitting around twiddling their thumbs, worried about what Donald Trump is going to say after for over a decade, while he was in power, or at least in politics, he had criticized them over and over and over again?
For telling jokes about Donald Trump. That's what this is about. This is about the government using the weight and width and breadth and power, immense power of the executive branch to violate Jimmy Kimmel's constitutional rights. This is going to start working its way down to the low levels like me.
In this case, the facts kind of don't matter. Like the facts, like we should get into about whether he was correct and whether
some
the joke
facts
was appropriate.
matter, but some here don't. Yes,
yeah, but like in this case, like what matters is the fact that, as you said, the federal government threatened and pressured private companies to silence someone's speech, and they did.
Steven Crowder tripped over himself to say that the bullets had trans ideology on them. There was a whole thing of leaking this document that turned out to not even be accurate. And so it is true. Everyone's saying he lied about this, he lied about this, or it wasn't even a joke. It was true. It's accurate. The thing he said is accurate. Doesn't matter.
And look, Hollywood and legacy media, they can rally around Jimmy Kimmel all they want. They can try to make him, Kimmel, more the victim than Charlie himself, who was only executed and leaves behind a 3-year-old daughter and a 1-year-old son and a grieving wife. But Jimmy, he's the real casualty here on your screen here, right?
This isn't Netflix. This isn't cable. This is broadcast TV. And when you have broadcast TV, you have to, the airwaves are owned by the public. And to get that license, you have to be in the interest, like you said, of the public. So when you absolutely lie to the public, then you are no longer in the public interest, like Jimmy Kimmel did the other night. Right. Mislead and lie, and actually was something dangerous. So with the FCC chairman, he didn't say that he was going to pull the license. He was going to give them a warning and ask for an apology, if what I understood on the Benny Johnson show. And so that's not the government doing it. And when 246 different stations around the country say we're no longer airing this, it's because they heard from their consumers. They heard from their customers. And they said, that's it. We're not doing it. I think the outrage over somebody losing their TV show should be dwarfed by the outrage over somebody losing their life over a decent, God-fearing, wonderful, lovely person trying to have conversations.
And just to get some facts straight here, Jimmy Kimmel did not get canceled. This was not, quote, cancel culture at play, Gabriella. He spread lies, saying that MAGA and our people are the ones that were responsible here. This is the exact same type of rhetoric that created the monster that murdered my friend Charlie. But pushing their twisted narratives as truth is no longer going to stand.
He says that MAGA right is trying to portray the Charlie Kirk assassin as anyone other than coming from MAGA. Kimmel got that wrong.
But kind of did he?
That's a good point. There's a way to think about it where he's just saying, they're trying to deflect whatever blame could be put on them.
Yeah. What he is saying here is that the MAGA gang is desperately trying to characterize the kid as anything other than one of them. So anyway, so there's two things. One, it's a joke. It's in the construct of a joke. The joke is about how MAGA is out there being super desperate to, try to use this to their political advantage.
It's not totally factually inaccurate, and I should have said that up front.
Again, it's like if he was irresponsible, this would still be bad, but he wasn't. Right? He was responsible, and he told the joke that was like a little kind of borderline. Like that's it. That's all that happened.
Of course. Donald Trump hates Jimmy Kimmel.
The word of the week, kind of pretextual.
Yeah. Donald Trump hates Jimmy Kimmel. Donald Trump has long tweeted or posted, mocking and going after Jimmy Kimmel. And Jimmy Kimmel really doesn't like Donald Trump.
One conservative commentator in particular who says, who made Jimmy Kimmel the moral arbiter?
Yeah, I agree with them. I'm nobody's moral arbiter. I mean, you don't have to watch the show. You don't have to listen to what I say.
You might lose the audience.
Like 3 years ago, I was equally liked by Republicans and Democrats, and then Republican numbers went way down, like 30% or whatever. And, as a talk show host, that's not ideal.
So you don't mind if Republicans turn off your show? They're not watching anymore?
I don't know. I probably won't want to have a conversation with them anyway.
Good riddance?
Well, not good riddance, but riddance.
The weird thing is Jimmy Kimmel should have got canceled when he told people that when he advocated for denying unvaccinated people emergency services when they were having a heart attack. Remember that? And when he was for mandating experimental medical treatment. And so those were the things that, should have got him canceled. But of course it didn't.
This shows you how shameful and despicable these people are. They were foaming at the mouth 24 hours ago. One of their own, daddy, sheriff, gun lover. So we got a gun-loving, MAGA, Trump-supporting white boy from a Donald Trump, MAGA, gun-loving family that killed a Donald Trump, MAGA, gun-loving white guy in Charlie Kirk. That's white-on-white crime.
He's going to stop all government censorship. He's going to bring back free speech to America. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Donald Trump.
If you guys know about this, but we have an election coming up on... I feel pretty relaxed about it. I've really been enjoying the week. Vote early. If you can't vote early, vote on time. If you want to vote for Trump, vote late. Vote very late. Do your voting on Thursday or maybe Friday. This will be my third time voting against Donald Trump.
So I posted this meme on Twitter and then forgot about it for 5 years until I was arrested in January of 2021, 7 days after Joe Biden was inaugurated.
This is such an old joke, too, what you posted. Or it's like a new take on an old joke. It's always been a joke. I've heard a million people say, like, election day on Tuesday, unless you're a Democrat, then it's on Wednesday. And I've heard it on the flip side, too. Actually, now that I'm saying this, I remember seeing a montage of Democrats saying it the other way, like different Democrat celebrities or whatever being like, hey, if you're a Republican, it's next Tuesday, stuff like that. It's an old joke.
The only thing that I would say as it pertains to Jimmy Kimmel was, where was the joke? Because you're a late night host. And obviously that has a comedic attachment to it. Where was the joke?
Kimmel didn't denigrate Charlie Kirk or make light of his killing. The worst thing you could say is that he appears to have been wrong about the shooter's ideology, which, okay. But he was also pointing out that many on the right seem desperate to weaponize Kirk's death, an argument that's aged pretty well, given, everything that's happened to Kimmel since.
I've stuffed something in my pants, and you're allowed to feel around on the outside of the pants. You have 10 seconds to then guess what is in my pants. You should use two hands. Two hands. You've done this before, haven't you? Maybe it would be easier if you put your mouth on it. How old are you?
18.
Okay, good. You sure of that? Because Uncle Jimmy doesn't need to do time. You're gonna make a fine wife.
Think about this. All Roseanne had to do to keep her job is not compare a black woman to an ape. Think about that. And she couldn't do that. She couldn't even do that.
Donald Trump stood on the stage like a man at the center of a prophecy. He called Charlie Kirk a martyr. Other politicians promised to carry out his mission. The crowd cheered as if the passing of the man had lit some sort of sacred fire. To me, this was not mourning, this was a mobilization. And here is where we have to tell the truth here. What we saw in that arena was not simply faith-finding public expression. It was religious nationalism on full display. That is the truth. That is my truth. This is my freedom of expression. This is my First Amendment right to be able to tell you the truth from my point of view. Not just from my point of view. This is what it is. The language was unmistakable. Take the nation back for God. Restore America's covenant. This is a holy calling. That's what it sounded like. This is not the language of democracy. This is the language of domination.
Is the dick that you suck, is it sour? Is that a sour dick that you suck? Because you surely are like the lemon that in your name. I mean, you just are. Is that dick sour? That's what I want to know. I mean, I would advise you not to suck it anymore.
I am your voice.